Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we are going to talk about a statement that seemingly came out of nowhere, even though it didn't. And we're going to talk about what that statement means, because as soon as it came out, a whole bunch of questions were prompted, because it surprised people, because it indicated that something was happening that people didn't really believe was happening. So we're going to run through that. Okay, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, Netanyahu, from just out of the blue, even though it wasn't from out of the blue, he came out and said, "I told our American friends that there was not going to be a Palestinian state. I put the brakes on that." I'm paraphrasing. That statement indicates that the United States had been pushing for a Palestinian state. That surprised a whole lot of people. A whole bunch of questions came in about it, and this one seems to sum it up best. Does the statement from Netanyahu mean that Biden was pushing for a pathway to a Palestinian state this whole time? And what does it mean that Netanyahu said no? Okay, so the first part of that question. Does the statement from Netanyahu mean that Biden was pushing for a pathway to a Palestinian state this whole time? No, that's not what it means. That was Blinken. Blinken was pushing for a pathway to a Palestinian state. Biden was pushing for a Palestinian state as soon as the shooting stopped. That's what I understand to have been happening. What does it mean that Netanyahu said no? If the Israeli people co-sign that, and that's actually going to be the position, it means that this is all going to happen again. Blinken is right in that Israel cannot get, quote, genuine security without a Palestinian state. He is right about that. As we have said numerous times on the channel, there is no military solution to this. And this ends, when it finally ends, and not pauses, not a ceasefire, but an actual peace deal, it will include a Palestinian state or a viable pathway to one. It will include a multinational force that will stand between the two sides for a generation. And it will include a ton of financial aid, not just for reconstruction, but also to get the economy up and running, to create stability. That's how this ends. If you were paying attention to the foreign policy moves, the fact that this is what the U.S. was pushing for shouldn't really be a surprise. But there are apparently a lot of people surprised by it. The reality is, if the position is held that a state, a pathway to one, is just off the table, everything happens again. Everything happens again. The get tough guy approach never works. It really doesn't. It's in all the manuals. And I do believe that even the Israeli defense minister at this point is kind of publicly saying, hey, you got to come up with a plan, talking to Netanyahu. The statement that Netanyahu keeps making is that, they're going to be in there until they can totally dismantle Hamas. And then what? What about the group that springs up after them? Because there will be one. Even if you're successful in that, which is unlikely. But even if they're successful in that, there's going to be another group. They need the pathway or they need the state. Otherwise, this all happens again. And there's nothing that will change that. I know that there are going to be people like, well, you can't trust them because it'll become a staging area. That's what the multinational force is for. If you're going to do this, it can't be one piece. It can't just be a multinational force with no pathway to a state, no state. It can't just be a pathway to a state or state. It can't just be the aid. You have to have all three of those pieces. You want to throw some other stuff in there as well, that's great. That's fine. But that's the bare minimum that is going to lead to peace. If you don't include that, your dream of peace will turn into a nightmare. Without those things, all of this happens again. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.